As we all are going through the unprecedented times of a global pandemic, being at our homes in a lockdown situation for more than a month, today we have with us the ones who are exceptionally managing the situation outside so that we can sit safely inside. We have amongst us two young, energetic IPS officers who are managing the crisis hands on. We have with us today Dr. Rashri Singh, who will be joining us very shortly, who is currently IGP of IGP Crime, Traffic and Highways, Haryana. And we have with us Ms. Rinda Shukla, who is our neighbor, DCP Mahila Suraksha Gautam Budh Nagar, a neighbor to Sharda University. So I welcome you, ma'am, today to this webinar. The topic for today's discussion is importance of community policing to defeat COVID-19. To shed more light on the topic and to welcome our guest, I would now request our Dean, Dr. Pradeep Kulshrestha, to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Ms. Tabassum. So I welcome Ms. Binda Shukla, and she is IPS, and she is DCP Women Security, and we have been working together on a project that is a family dispute redressal clinic at Police Station Knowledge Park, and ma'am has taken a lot of initiative in setting up this clinic, and she has given a lot of innovative ideas. So I'm sure after this lockdown, we will begin with this real work that is bringing family dispute to a amicable solution. And Dr. Ritu Gautam and her team is also working on this. And basic issues are, I think, are addressed. So very soon we will begin with this family clinic, and I'm sure a lot of families will be benefited. So today we have organized this webinar as mark of our respect to the police officials and police personnel in keeping India safe. As we know, this corona COVID-19 is creating havoc all over the world, and cases are rising with every passing day. In the US, the mightiest nation on earth, we see it is causing a lot of havoc, death, and destruction. So till today, 10,27,295 cases have been reported in the US, and close to 6,000 people have died, which is a big number. They have lost more people than what they lost in Vietnam War, and this may even cost their economy huge. And United Kingdom, they also are facing a lot of loss of life. They have till today around close to 1,66,000 cases, corona positive cases, and 26,000 people have died because of this. And China, from where this all started, has underreporting this crisis and casualties. But official records, what they release is 83,000 infections and 4,000 deaths, which is certainly very less than the real. So in India, situation is well managed by leadership, by bureaucrats, by health officials, by police officials, and whole country is uh, paying its respect the way police people are doing day and night, even at the risk of their life and their comfort. We have seen on social media, on television, many police personnel, especially lady policemen, coming for duty with a small child in lap. So this is something going beyond brief for the duty, and they are risking their life. Many police persons, they have been infected with this virus, and some police persons, they have lost their life also. So today we thought that it will be apt to pay our respect for this wonderful work. And this webinar we organized today, that is importance of community policing in fighting COVID-19. And tomorrow we have planned another webinar with former DGP UP Police, Dr. Vikram Singh, on the challenges of COVID-19. So with this webinar, we are trying to make people aware that what we can do to save ourselves and to save others from getting corona infected, so that we can very fast we can come out of this crisis, because this infection is basically a very highly infectious disease, And if we are not careful, then we will be certainly going on Europe or US ways. So community awareness is very, very important, and we all should support and cooperate with the law enforcement agencies. We are a nation where our constitution is supreme, and Constitution of India, in its preamble declaration in fundamental right, part 3, part 4, part 4a, pays a lot of emphasis on individual rights as well as our duties towards the community. Universal Declaration of Human Rights by Article 29 declares that we all have a duty towards community, because until and unless community is safe, our individual liberties certainly will be taken care. If community is in danger, our individual freedoms also will suffer. So, Article 14 of Indian Constitution provides for equality before law and equal protection of law. This also provides for rule of law. In other words, the Professor Dicey gave this theory of rule of law, that everybody is subject to the same rule and all are equal before law. So whenever there is a law authorizing police personnel, like Section 144 is imposed or any other declaration is done, we all should understand the gravity of the situation, and we should cooperate in letter and spirit. Then we have Article 19, which provides for fundamental six freedoms. That is right to movement is basically curtailed right now, because the state in public order can curtail this right. Then we have Article 21, which provides for right to life and personal liberty. So we have our right to life, but we also have a duty to respect others' life. Then Article 22 gives state a lot of powers to make laws which can curtail fundamental freedoms of the people. Even Article 21 also provides that no one shall be deprived of his right to life and personal liberty, except by a procedure established by law. So Parliament or legislatures, they can make a procedure, and this right to life and personal liberty can be curtailed to an extent. So these all are the provisions which are basically dealing with fundamental rights of an individual. Then we have Part 4a, which provides for the fundamental duty that was not there initially when Constitution of India was adopted and given. This was added subsequently in 1976 by 42nd Amendment. So some fundamental duties are very, very important, which we should make our students aware, and student and faculty in turn should make others aware that we should abide by the Constitution, and we should uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity, and integrity of India. We should defend the country and render national service whenever called upon to do so. So we can't go and fight war, neither we can go and do policing, but we can certainly serve the society by following law, by making people aware of their duty. Then we should promote harmony and a spirit of common brotherhood. In this time of social media, many fake messages are peddled, which are hate messages, which may create law and order issue, which may create animosity between the people. So we have a fundamental duty to promote harmony and a spirit of brotherhood in this testing time, because many foreign countries, many enemy countries, they peddle this fake messages, which may sometimes lead to law and order situation. So we should ensure that harmony and brotherhood is taken care. Even preamble declares that there shall be fraternity among citizens of India. So we should ensure that. Then we should protect and improve the natural environment. So now we see this the flip side of COVID-19 is that we are enjoying wonderful weather, and air quality index is I never thought it will be so low. So we have low sickness. People are not going to OPD, so they have good environment. And now we are seeing from Saharanpur, we can see Himalayan range, and other day it was reported from Jalandhar, people could see Himalayan range. So this is nice. Now we can improve upon the environment as we have been doing so. Then we should develop scientific temper. I'm sure this corona epidemic has shown one thing, that only science can save us from any epidemic. So right now, temple, mosque, gurdwara, church, they all are closed, and health workers, they are working day and night. So we should understand, we should balance our faith and scientific temper. So these all duties are very, very important. Another duty which is very important is we should all strive towards excellence in all endeavors of ours. So we should all understand the seriousness of the situation, and we should cooperate with the government authorities. And I'm sure we all can police ourselves, so that the job of the police is left for other serious things. And people are by and large cooperating. They are understanding the seriousness and gravity of the situation. But once again, we all, I, on my personal behalf, on behalf of the management of the Sharda University, on behalf of faculty, on behalf of students, their parents, we pay our sincere gratitude to the police officials for risking their life, for working 24/7 to save the nation, to save all of us. And I'm sure we shall abide by all rules, regulation, and we shall help them in carrying out this onerous task. So once again, thank you very much, ma'am. Jai Hind.
I think ma'am has also joined. Rajshri ma'am has joined. I see her on screen.
Okay. Dr. Rajshri Singh, ma'am, welcome to in this seminar. Can you hear me? Pragati, can you help, ma'am?
Okay, sir. I'm checking, sir.
Dr. Rajshri, ma'am, can you hear me? She, ma'am, has joined. Mic of ma'am is mute. We will just wait for a few seconds, few minutes. Actually, Dr. Rajshri is leading this COVID-19 war in Haryana, and her tunes and have been retweeted by many Bollywood personalities. And she is avid poetess also. She writes very good poetry, and she has written many poems on making people aware of this COVID-19 infection. She told me she was having some urgent phone call. Now I think she's joining.
Good morning to all of you.
Morning, ma'am.
Morning, Ji. Morning. How are you?
I am. We are fine, ma'am, and we are grateful to the whatever police people are doing, police officials and police personnel. They are leading from the front. They are risking their life, working 24/7 for all of us, for keeping India safe. And to thank you all, as a mark of our gratitude, we kept this webinar uh, so that we can appreciate and we can learn that what we all can do in this fight against COVID-19.
Thank you,
Dr.
Pradeep.
Ashish Singh, thank you, ma'am. Dr. Ashish Singh, she is leading police personnel of Haryana. She is an IPS, and presently she is IGP Crime Haryana and IGP Traffic and Highways. And I can see she is always on move. She is inspiring all of us, and she is posting many inspiration lines, inspiring lines and poems on social media. And her many these poems were retweeted by Jackie Shroff recently. I saw. So she is getting national appreciation, and ma'am is always helpful. And ma'am, we have with us Miss Binda Shukla. She is IPS, and she is DCP Women Security in Gautam Budh Nagar. Very humane officer.
Morning, ma'am.
Morning.
And ma'am, we and Gautam Budh Nagar Police, we are working on a project that is Family Dispute Redressal Clinic, wherein we are trying to reach out to families.
Pradeep Ji, I'm sorry I am interrupting you. Vikram sir is
Yes, ma'am.
also here.
Pardon, ma'am?
Vikram sir is also here.
Ma'am, Vikram sir is coming tomorrow.
Okay, okay, okay.
We have kept 2-day webinar today with you and Ms. Vinda Shukla, and
Okay,
tomorrow with Dr. Vikram sir.
okay.
Yes, ma'am. So we are partnering with Gautam Budh Nagar Police in this family dispute redressal clinic, because every day 70 80 cases of family dispute they are reported in this district. So idea of our commissioner was that we should provide some mediation services with our doctors and our law faculty, research students, counselors, clinical psychologists, so that this dispute can be resolved through mediation techniques and regular cases can be avoided. So we are working on this. Maybe after this lockdown, our this project will take off. So, ma'am, with this word, I welcome you and Ms. Binda Shukla in this webinar, and we are thankful for the onerous services which police people are doing, and we shall remain ever grateful to the wonderful job, and all of you are saving us and this nation from the wrath of this COVID-19, which USA and Europe, China, many countries are facing. We are fortunate to have you fighting this war on COVID-19.
Ji.
So, Ms. Tabassum, you can request.
Yes, good morning, ma'am. So now, without further delay, we would like to hear from Dr. Rashri Singh, ma'am, herself about her experiences dealing with COVID-19. Ma'am,
Yeah.
please, if you could enlighten us on the same.
Uh, First of all, I would like to remember our departed souls, our entertainment world's heroes, Rishida and Irfan Khan. They were actually the real heroes who were very down to earth. Shraddhanjali from everyone. For fighting with the COVID-19, police has got so many challenges. And people don't actually like police to come into this matter. But we are providing help to everyone. We are providing food, we are providing medicines, we are taking people to quarantine, we are taking people to hospitals. We are providing every basic things to everyone who are needy in this difficult phase of life. At least I have never seen this kind of phase in my lifetime. And for the first time, everyone is realizing what police is doing for the society. Earlier, also, police used to do so many things, but nobody realized that, because we hail the image of being so rude from the Britishers' time, and everybody used to make us stand with them, but they disliked, like they hated us like anything, that we are from some different planet, or some we are aliens. They treated us like that. But now in this COVID time, everybody is realizing, and some people are cooperating like anything. But for some illiterates, we want to change them. We want to take them to the hospitals to get them treated for this COVID-19. But people are still not cooperating that much. They are doing stone pelting, they are spitting on police personnels, they are beating, they are doing everything which hurts us. So in this difficult time, police is doing everything, but there is no that much cooperation which is required to deal with this uh, epidemic, pandemic. People should be aware that we should cooperate, because we are working for the people only, and we uh, we are doing for our society, for our nation. We are the part and parcel of the society. Without us, nobody can move a kilometer even, because when you start your journey out from when you step out from your home, We are required everywhere. Now, though, I can say that from birth to till death, police is required, because the police is going for the cremation also. And I remember that when I joined this police force, I saw a case in Yamuna Nagar, a dead body which was very old, and the maggots were infected the body with maggots, and the other things. The body was literally not, I couldn't see that body even with my eyes, and I couldn't eat for so many days. The people who were their relative, the body related to those people, they didn't come even near the body, and they didn't cremate that. But police did all that. And I have seen so many cases like this, when people don't touch the dead body of their own people, their own family members. Their police does the everything from postmortem to cremation. This is very bad time, and we are part and parcel of the society. We should acknowledge our system, that we are doing all these things for the society only. So everyone should cooperate. And in this bad time, when we are not looking for our families, we don't go to our families. We are very much afraid of the of spreading of this coronavirus to our families even. So we are standing on the chalks, chorahas, roundabouts, in every street. We are providing every help to everyone. So I think everyone should cooperate with us, because we think that we should forget our family members at this bad time, but should do our duty, which is very much required in this bad phase. So I want people's cooperation. Uh, I remember that in 2009 I constituted an organization, that is Road Safety Organization. I inspired so many people. I motivated them to join this road safety organization, because in India, almost 1,51,000 people, and sometimes 1,50,000 people die in road accidents. So this is very high figure. We are afraid of COVID-19, but we are not afraid of road accidents. So this is very dangerous thing, that we don't understand the fatality rate which is in the road accidents. We should realize that we should follow the rules. So I constituted a road safety organization in 2009, and people cooperated me like anything. I just told them, just devote 2 hours of your 24 hours. Out of 24 hours, you devote 2 hours for the road safety. And they are just with us till now, from 2009 to this 2020. So many people from all districts, they are working in, like anything in this COVID-19 to fight this epidemic. They are helping the people a lot. They are providing food, everything they are providing. So they are the helping hand of the police. Uh, in my point of view, that we should involve more and more people to understand what we are doing, because we are doing all these things for them only. And when people don't understand, they hate you, because we also want respect from the society. So we should build a cordial relation with them, to make them understand that we are doing a lot for you. We are devoting our personal time also. We are working 24/7. We are providing everything. We are protecting the society. We are the protectors from any bad incident. We are with you all the 24/7. Then we should also be given that much respect and that much love and affection, because we are also human beings. We are also made of flesh and blood. We are also vulnerable to this COVID-19, and people are not understanding it. They are in the same way they are working. Some people are working in that way, that police is doing that, police is doing this. We don't want to cooperate. Why they are taking us to hospitals? Why they are taking to us to quarantine? This is our freedom. And one more thing, freedom of speech. Article 19 of Constitution of India gives us a freedom to speak and expressions, speech and expression. So they are making misuse of it, and they are writing so many things on the social media which spread hatred. So this comes under 5051 of IPC. This is crime. One should read the exceptions also. 19.2 gives exceptions when something is which is not acceptable to public, which is not in the public order, which is against the solidarity and integrity of country, which is against the against our defense system, which is against our country in a large manner, that which is against the safety and security of the mankind, the country and society. That is not acceptable at any cost. So this freedom of speech is curtailed at that point of time when you are hurting some other person and enjoying your freedom. That is not freedom, that is not given. So we should know our limits. Freedoms of speech in the normal time, we can express our feelings, but not can't spread hatred in the society. And it comes under IT Act also. IT Act 2000, 2012, 66D is there. Sometimes I'm viewing some posts. They are asking for money to fight with COVID-19, and some fake accounts are created now by some criminal, and this comes under the transaction, the fake transaction to some other account, and they are showing it in the other account. CM Corona Relief Fund or PM Corona Relief Fund, some accounts are fake. So beware of these things. And this crime comes under 66D, because fake transaction is again a crime. Now we are using social media like anything, and this is part and parcel of our life. So we should know about the Cyber Act also, and we should tell people to behave like a normal man, and they should know how to use and how to post a good post on the social wall. So we should be aware of IT Act also. And in this bad time of our country or world, we should all stand together to deal with it. And we should help our neighborhood, if there is some old couple in the nearby vicinity, we can provide help to them. We can ask about their wellness on the telephones. We can greet them. You must have seen the Panchkula episode, that old colonel was greeted by police with the cake and on his birthday. So he was so delighted. He was literally in tears. So this kind of things, I think police is changing and police image is changing. Some people were doing a lot for the society earlier also, some policemen, but now it is by and large, it is a very common thing that how we should help the people in this bad phase. Actually, this is really, really, really sad that some people are not cooperating still. So we should cooperate with each other to deal with this pandemic, this bad time, and we should remain at home. We should, some people are asking for foods and they are having good facilities at their home. Some people try to sell it off, dry ration. They are asking for dry ration and they are selling it to the nearby shopkeeper. This is very sad. Some people are not having food to eat and some are selling because they are having extra food. So we should we should share it with those persons who are not having, who are sleeping hungry, who are starving, who are dying of starve. So I think I have said so much about the things which I am looking at in the present scenario, and I am observing it very nicely because I am in touch with everyone from Jammu Kashmir to Kanyakumari on social media, and everybody is praising police, doctors, safai karamchari, and bank workers, bank employees, like anything. So we should maintain this relationship in the future also, not only in the COVID-19 that we are good and after COVID we are bad. We are human beings, we are the same. So the people should behave like in that manner also, that they should keep the context in the future also, the same on the same pace, because we are the same. Earlier also police was good, but nobody realized it. Now in this bad phase of life, we are realizing that police is doing a lot. Believe me, we are the same. And now the image is changing. So we are happy, and we would like to serve people like this only, because we are your brothers, we are your sisters, we are your family. We are not from different planet. We are not aliens. So please behave with a police wala who is a constable. If you are looking him that he is eating some fruits from some ready, don't think that he is not paying. He is paying, but the mindset is that he is not paying. You know, sometimes when these VIP duties are going on in the past, they were the people used to look at the police wala that he is standing near a ready or a juice wala ready, so he is eating without paying money. But that is not the thing. You just think that he has got up early in the morning, he didn't had food, he is working for the last 4 hours, nobody is asking for the water even. So how can you think that a police wala is can work without eating, without sleeping? And some people are posting that some police wala, some constables were sleeping, that why don't they why they are sleeping, they are not doing their duty. No, this is not done by they people are also human beings. They also feel the same kind of requirements they have. They are they are also not slept. They have not slept for so many days. They are working 24/7. They also feel tired, right? They also feel hungry, feel that they should go to home. Some people can't go to home because they are afraid of that we may not carry the infection to our home. So this is the thing we should understand. And I hope this relationship will go on and go on. And in my lifetime, I will see a very cordial relationship with police. The public will cooperate us, and they will think that we are their family members. We are doing all this to help them. This phase is very bad. We should cooperate with each other. We should listen to the law, and we should listen to the police. We should cooperate. If we are suffering from any infection, we should go to hospital, and police is there to help you, to take you to the hospitals, and everybody will provide you a help. which you require. So don't be scared of this epidemic, just scared of that hatred which you are carrying it within your hearts. So that is the thing. We should kill that emotion, that hatred for the police, and we should cooperate to the doctors, we should cooperate to the police, we should cooperate to the bankers, we should cooperate to the safai karamchari. Now they are at equal pace. Everybody is serving society in his own way. What is his duty, he is doing. So we should be very thankful to all of them, and I salute everyone for their kind deeds in this bad hour. This is what I wanted to say.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for making us aware of the challenges that our police services are facing on the field and the need for cooperation from the general public. Ma'am also highlighted the responsible use of social media and the legal repercussions for the same. And finally, the change of perception that is needed from the side of the society towards our police forces. Thanks a lot, ma'am. Now, I would like to request Ms. Vrinda Shukla, ma'am, to please share her experiences in dealing with COVID-19. Ma'am, your audio is mute.
I'm sorry, I think I'm audible now. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so happy to be a part of this webinar because one, it has given me a chance to be acquainted with Rajshri ma'am, who I did not know before and who is a service senior. And I've had the pleasure of hearing her speak today and share her experiences over her long career. And of course, I'm also always happy to be part of anything that's initiated by Dr. Kulshresht. From the first time that I met him, I was really taken by the kind of enthusiasm that he holds for everything that he initiates and everything that he's working on. And so when he proposed the idea of this webinar, I was automatically and instantly on board because I really did think that it would be a very enriching experience for me to be here. So I'm just going to take a couple of minutes to speak about the topic of the webinar, which is the importance of community policing to defeat COVID-19. So I've been serving in Noida or Gautam Budh Nagar for the duration of the lockdown. And I'm just going to share my experiences about how I think community policing has played out in this lockdown. How I think it has renewed the ties between the police and the community, hopefully for all time to come, and what is the way forward and what is the future that I see for community policing going forward in the lockdown and otherwise. So just for starters, I would first like to go back to the basics of what exactly is community policing, or what is strictly the definition of it. So community-oriented policing is nothing but an approach whereby we build ties within the community and we nurture these ties and work closely with the members of the community in the belief that that's what leads to strong and sound policing. And in general, the Indian policing model, which is typically the beat policing model, finds its origin in community policing. And the belief is that you divide the area jurisdiction of a police station into several beats, and a beat officer is allotted to that beat. And the idea is that this officer is constantly a part and parcel of all the activities of the beat. He knows all the prominent, he or she knows all the prominent citizens of the beat, knows the major businesses of the beat, understands the challenges of the beat, and sort of grows to be a part of that area, such that whenever there is a situation of crisis in that area, or whenever a major crime occurs in that area, or whenever there's a law and order challenge in that area, this one officer will know this area like the back of his hand, will be able to engage the support of all the prominent citizens and institutions that are operating in that area. He'll be able to invoke their support and overcome the law and order situation, the distress situation, or will be able to help in cracking the crime which has occurred in that area. So that is the basic essence of community policing. And now we are talking about how community policing becomes relevant for the police to take on the COVID-19 challenge. So essentially, all of you, everything these days that's being published anywhere, whether on social media or in the print media, is about COVID. The world is literally obsessed with it. So it's no secret to any of us that to take on COVID and to get past this episode essentially requires the support of everybody, because even one single person who is infected, if allowed to go scot-free, can cause havoc because of the exponential nature of transmission of the infection. So when we say that it requires the support of everybody and the police is being charged with the enforcement of the lockdown, then the natural corollary is that the police requires the support of everybody and the police requires the support of the community. So while the way ma'am mentioned, there have been stray instances of attack on the police forces or disobedience with the orders and creating trouble through minor scuffles, or of course there was an incidence of violence in Punjab against an ASI of the Punjab police. So there have been stray instances like that, but I personally would give credit to the community all over the country that they have come out overwhelmingly in support of the lockdown and in support of the security forces that are tasked with the enforcement of this lockdown. So I want to share some of the ways in which the community has really been instrumental in enabling the police to enforce this lockdown. So the first of these is close liaising with the resident welfare associations of the areas which have been put in containment zones. So as you know, Noida has emerged as a hotspot for COVID-19. We have about 150 cases now, and there are a number of pockets in the district which have been declared as red zones, and that entire area has been closed off or it has been contained. And so now one of the ways that state authorities, including the police, are working with these societies or these sectors which have been completely locked out is we make these WhatsApp groups with the resident welfare associations, and they act as a sort of mini government or as representatives of everybody who is living there, and they convey through video calls or regular calls the concerns and the requirements of the people staying inside these societies and these sectors, and the state authorities, including the police, try to furnish these demands from outside. So now this is a very close instance of cooperation between the community and the police forces for the general good of all, and to make sure that the police forces who are manning these societies and sectors are also exposed to as few people as possible and consequently to as little risk of transmission of infection as possible. Now here, I think a lot of credit is owed to these communities who are working with the police, because imagine a scenario where you have about 4 or 5 police persons sitting outside a society which is a hotspot. There's a coronavirus positive patient which was found from that society, and you never have more than 4 or 5 people out on duty who are making sure that the place is sealed. And the average population of any of these societies is between 4,000 to 5,000 people. Now let's say these 4,000 to 5,000 people decided that they are not going to obey the lockdown, or that they are not going to obey to being completely locked down and not even go out shopping or not even go out and access an ATM, and they all decide to come out on the street. Just think about what a nightmare that is for the police, because COVID-19 is such an exceptional crisis where even using force on the part of the police against people who are not obeying really threatens the police, because it involves coming close to the people who are jeopardizing the lockdown and who force must be used against. So I think that of everything that we have experienced so far, of all the kinds of disruptions and law and order situations and past crises that we have been through, this is so exceptional because the police is not even free to use force or the typical means that it could to control a difficult situation. We need the support of the community. We need the obedience of the community more than ever before in order to even keep our police forces secure. A second instance of community-based support which has come out overwhelmingly, especially in a place like Noida, which is technologically very advanced, is the number of people who have come forward to offer for free services of drone surveillance. So as you know, India is a resource deficient country, it's an overpopulated country, and no matter how much we invest in state resources, we are always going to be hard pressed given the kind of area that we have, given the kind of population density we have. So when it came to how do we carry out surveillance of densely populated pockets in Gautam Budh Nagar, some of which are rural areas, they have narrow gullies and they are densely populated. It's almost like living in a beehive. we cannot even jeopardize the safety of our police personnel, walking in large numbers through these gullies. But it's important to know what exactly is going on in these neighborhoods, whether the lockdown is being enforced or not. And so the police sent out a message saying that we need support with drone facilities. And I can't tell you the number of people who came forward and said, here is my drone, I offer it to you for free, and I'm even willing to give you my technical expertise and my technical surveillance to map the areas that you want to carry surveillance over, and to capture the footage for you, and then to help you design detailed maps of hotspots. So again, I think an overwhelming instance of the way community policing is succeeding in the various challenges of COVID-19. The third thing I want to speak about, because I happen to be the nodal officer of it in Gautam Budh Nagar district, is the food aid initiative that the police has taken on in a big way in this district. So what happened was that you would typically think, I think everybody imagines that handing out food or PBS ration or any kind of food support is not the police's immediate mandate. But what happened was that we have such a large migrant and such a large labor population in a district like Gautam Budh Nagar, that there are so many people who are living from hand to mouth, that food distress started almost concurrently with the announcement of the lockdown. We would have thought that maybe it would take about 5-10 days for the food crisis to kick in, but that didn't happen. The day the lockdown was announced, we had about 1,635 food distress calls on our emergency number, which is UP 112. And now I think the reason that it happened was because the police is the one institution which has such an elaborate grassroots network and presence in the form of its police chowkis and police stations, that no other government institution has that kind of visibility and that kind of extensive network. And I think also, regardless of whether we are loved or whether we are hated, in people's mental map, the police is the one institution which they associate with going to in distress. And so I think that's what happened. People's default reaction was to call on UP 112 or go to their local police chowki and express their distress about the fact that they did not have anything left, and they had small children and they had no milk to give them. Again, the police stepped in overwhelmingly. You are well aware of the migrant crisis and the migrant exodus that took place from our district in the first few days of the lockdown, where we had thousands of migrants from other parts of UP and from other states like Bihar and MP who set off on foot to their home districts because they were so threatened by the fact that they would not be able to manage the cost of living in a district like this in the absence of work. And despite all state reassurance that they would be taken care of, you could not deal with that kind of fear psychosis, and they left out in the hundreds. And at so many places, we saw that the police station SHOs and the chowki in charges were paying out of their own pockets to provide food packets to these people on the highways in the cases where the highways were passing through their police station jurisdiction. Then, of course, in 2-3 days, we became more systematic with this work. And I think, again, it goes to the credit of the dependability that the police force encourages in the community, that, our SHOs and, of course, officers like me and other officers, we reached out to various organizations and to prominent citizens who we knew would be in a position to help in this food crisis, and they responded overwhelmingly. We got thousands of tons of dry ration, which we are distributing till date. Even now, we are responding to about 1,000 calls on average for food distress, and the police is carrying out this work impeccably with the support, again, of the society. The fourth way in which I think the community policing model has shown extraordinary success in this crisis is the way communities have come forward to help police personnel. I think they are just so overwhelmed by the fact that the weather is so oppressively warm that it's difficult to step out during the afternoon hours, but you have your police personnel sitting at every nook and corner at the nakas, doing duty under the hot sun and making sure that the lockdown is enforced. So all over the district, we have communities that are coming out several times a day to make sure that the frontline police personnel at the nakas are getting tea, they're getting juice, they're getting cold water. From several places, we are receiving very, very hygienic home-cooked food packets for police personnel on the nakas. We've had large gifts of PP suits, masks, sanitizers, just to make sure that the police personnel on duty don't fall short of these essential things which are required to keep them safe as they work in turn to keep everybody else safe. Then One other very important aspect of community policing which has come to the fore, at least in Gautam Budh Nagar, is community-based vigilance. And here I'm going to briefly invoke something that Robert Peel said. Robert Peel was a very famous police and army expert of the British Raj, and he studied extensively the police and army forces in India, and also it contributed majorly to the army and police reforms that we had here. And so one of the things that he had said was that the police is merely doing full-time something which each of us as citizens of the community ought to be doing on a regular basis. And that is to maintain vigilance against wrongdoing and to report it when we see it. And I think that has just shown up beautifully in this crisis. I'm also the media in charge of Gautam Budh Nagar Police, and I take care of its Twitter handle. And every day we have so many posts of well-meaning citizens pointing out that there are certain pockets where citizens are not obeying the lockdown and where they are exercising or going out on walks in violation of social distancing principles, or where, for instance, they are shopping without maintaining adequate distance or crowding in the shops. And I really just say, kudos to this sense of vigilance, kudos to the sense of responsibility that these citizens feel in reporting this to the police so that something can be done about it. Because the police force is limited, the district is large, it's densely populated, and we can't be everywhere. We can't be inside every shop, we can't be inside every park. And so it's great that citizens have taken it upon themselves to be the eyes and ears of the police and to report it. And we take every single tweet so seriously that we make sure that we rush the concerned SHO or somebody from there to that area to make sure that that's not happening, and or to put a stop to it, and in certain cases even book them in criminal cases if we feel that people are really just taking the lockdown very casually. But this kind of community-based vigilance, I think, is unparalleled. In general, India was long criticized for suffering from the bystander effect. I think you all must be familiar with what the bystander effect is. It's spoken very frequently in terms of accidents and other violent crimes where something terrible could have happened, but the tendency for people will be to mostly just stand and watch, or to make a video, or to talk about it, but not really to intervene and do something. And so I think that this is one instance where the community is really showing a subversion of the bystander effect. They are coming forward to act as police vigilantes, to keep their eyes and ears open, and to really very meaningfully contribute in making sure that the lockdown is effective. Another beautiful instance of the cooperation of the community in recent days in strengthening policing and in some sense simplifying the work of the police was during the festivals of Navratra and Baisakhi. As you're all aware, these are very community-based festivals. People like to celebrate these in groups. And we were really apprehensive that, if people come out on the pretext of these festivals and women and children come out, it'll be very difficult because you can't use force and you don't want to use force. But people also, sometimes overlook the fact that it's extremely important to stay apart. But we did not have even one such reporting from anywhere in the district. The police did not have to rush or intervene anywhere. All the sector associations and the resident welfare associations, they passed their internal circulars saying that these festivals, they must be celebrated in the privacy of their homes. In many societies, people came out on their balconies and did a communal celebration of Baisakhi, but they did not gather at any one place where it could have become a law and order challenge for the police, and it could have distracted them from their other duties of maintaining the lockdown. Now, similarly, we are in the month of Ramzan, and there was some degree of anxiety that maybe it's again a very communal festival, and at the time of Iftari, people like to come outside and celebrate the holy month in communal spirit, but that did not happen. Again, we are invoking the ties that the police has forged over a long time with the community and religious leaders of different faiths to convince the members of their community that this crisis is one which has never been seen before, and nothing can be put ahead of it. No religious sentiments can be more important than the need to control the coronavirus infection. And again, I'm happy to report that the community policing model is performing so beautifully that we have had hardly any instances of people coming out in the markets in the evenings for Iftari or creating any kind of challenge for the police which distracts them from the enforcement of the lockdown. Then an instance that I would like to talk about from Delhi is where Delhi police actually has roped in direct volunteers that are working with the police. They have roped in about 10 volunteers per police station that are doing active duty with the police in making sure that social distancing and lockdown norms are being enforced at markets, ration shops, residential colonies, at places where PDS is being distributed. And the model is working beautifully because even the citizens who they are trying to control or who they are trying to discipline respond better to them than to a uniformed person, because I think that appeal strikes a more emotional chord, that these are our fellow citizens, our brothers and sisters who are not part of the force, who don't represent the state, but who still are trying to impress upon us the gravity of the situation and the necessity of enforcing the norms of the lockdown. So just coming back to the point of, I think that community policing has reached an extraordinary level of maturity in this lockdown. Like ma'am said at the start of her lecture, the Indian police was, you can say, a default inheritor of the British legacy of the police. We wear the same uniform, and it was the systems that we inherited from the British police it was such a seamless transition that I think that the mentality of the Indian people never changed, that we ceased to be a colonial force and we became a people's police. For most citizens, even aware, educated, empowered citizens who have access to come to senior officers and share their problems of what they're experiencing at the police chowki or the police station level, even for citizens like that, I think the general image of the police was largely negative, as something which is, which has more nuisance value than it has worth, and an institution that is rather stayed away from. But I think that this crisis, it has come with a blessing in disguise of sorts, at least for the police, where it has really helped us to shatter this image. And it has showed people that when everything else comes to the standstill and everybody has the luxury and the choice of being indoors, the police must still be outside to make sure that everybody else stays safe. So I think that in some sense, this crisis may be a watershed for the image rebuilding of the police and for the rise of a new, very proximate relationship between the police and its citizens. That's my hope for the community policing model. I hope that the goodwill that the police has earned in this time, it carries forward. I hope that the kind of cooperation and the kind of community involvement, the kind of community vigilance that we have seen, goes forward, because India, even after COVID, will have immense challenges, and we need the entire country, especially the community and the police, to work in synergy for a safer and more developed country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. It was wonderful, your address and Dr. Ashri ma'am's address. Both were an eye-opener, like we were not knowing many things which police is doing and which police is facing. So it was a wonderful webinar, and I'm sure we will make others also aware of all this thing. And if anybody has some question, they can ask or they can put in chat box. And Tabassum, you do the moderation. So only I think relevant question can be taken. I think Ms. Vinita, she is doing PhD from School of Law, Sharda University. She has asked how poor countries can become financially and economically better after this COVID-19 crisis. I think, Vinita, that we can discuss with some economists. Then Swapnil Bayas, he's originally from Indore. He's a practicing advocate in Supreme Court of India. He has asked that I would like to give focus to below poverty line people, slum dwellers, and those who are unaware of the COVID. Madam, if you can give or allow us to spread video on WhatsApp and social media, we will do as per the rules and regulations regards. So we
can
will,
I just say something about that? I just like to sit here and say something about that. So I think what he's brought forward is actually an excellent point, and I will encourage you to go and read an article that I just wrote for the Indian Express 2 days back. It's called "I Tweet, Therefore I'm Heard." And one of the things that I've spoken about in the article is the digital divide and how that is such an enormous challenge in the COVID crisis because, the regular means of conducting business and governance have been rendered dysfunctional. And so
Yes.
those who are on the wrong side of the digital divide are actually now in a position where they have absolutely no means to access governance and no means to access correct information because even physical newspapers and all kinds of other establishments have shut down. And so it's an enormous challenge. And one small example that I'd like to give you is that emergency permits are being handed out by all state authorities for emergencies because obviously it's natural that in a crisis like this, emergencies would occur. But now the problem with that is that these passes are purely digital passes, they are e-passes. So one has to apply for them online and they are received online. So now what happens in a situation like this for those who are unlettered or those who are digitally deprived? That just automatically means that somebody who doesn't have digital access, his or her emergency doesn't count because it has no way of making its voice heard and of accessing governance. So you put forward an excellent question, and I think we all need to, and I've proposed some solutions in that article. You can read it and know more about it. But I think that all of us, especially the young generation, all of you students, you really need to rack your brains to think about how it is that we can simplify technology and information dissemination through technology to its simplest, bare basic form, so that as the digital divide widens, which it's bound to in the post-COVID world, millions are not left behind.
Thank you very much, ma'am. You may share the link to your article. I'll share with the participants.
Sure, I'll do that.
Ma'am, Pranjal has asked, he is doing law from School of Law, third year student. He has asked, do you think there is a need for some proper training of police people to deal with such crises in future?
Yes, later on, after dealing with this COVID, when this phase will be over, we can teach them about the soft skills, about the how they should speak to the people, how they should access to
Ma'am,
the people,
Pratyush from second year is
to
asking
make
that.
them realize that they.
One second. As ma'am was mentioning that Panchkula Colonel Saab Bala incident, where police had gone with a cake, and I saw that video. It was overwhelming. So ma'am is basically saying that we should on soft skill side.
I hope this relationship will go later on also. The
Sure,
cordial
ma'am.
relationship between police and public will go a longer way. I hope
Sure,
so.
ma'am. Sure, ma'am. This will change the perception of people.
Because nowadays police is not doing actually core policing. We are helping people like a welfare organization. So later on, when this phase will be over, then people again started feeling that they are deprived of that much love and affection. So they will have to cooperate in that time also, because after that we will be dealing with the core policing.
True, ma'am.
Because nowadays expectations are increasing of the people that if we are providing food, some people are asking why not paneer and why not
True,
so
ma'am.
this kind of things later on, I don't think so that we will be able to maintain that.
Ma'am, some patients are asking, some people are asking for non-vegetarian food also.
Yeah, or drinks also even.
True, ma'am.
But in one thing I want to explain that we should take care of the stray animals also, dogs, and people are depriving them, and they are leaving them out of their house. The kettles and the stray dogs, we should help them also. We
Sure,
should
ma'am.
feed them also. They are also human beings. Nowadays, have you seen some monkeys were found dead in some places because of
Starvation.
hunger? So
But ma'am, how can people go out and feed stray when there is no going out order?
no, there are some institutions, they have got pass just
Okay.
for that purpose only.
We can help them.
Yeah, we can
Okay.
help. But don't make, I want to say that don't make false excuses. If you are wrapping 2 chapatis in a newspaper and you are going to donate that, just
And
to
say
go
that I am okay.
that I am going to donate this, helping some poor people. So this is a false excuse. So please don't do that.
Sure, ma'am. Ms. Tabassum, we have taken a lot of time of very senior police officials. They must be having some other more important things to take care of, and
I
they have been kind enough to spare their valuable time to be with us.
I would like to congratulate Vrinda. You told it so well because you are nodal officer and you are having expertise in that. So very very hearty congratulations to you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Well,
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. It was so
very
nice
nice.
meeting
Keep
you,
it up.
ma'am, through the video conference, and I hope to meet you in person soon. I'll come look you up someday in Panchkula. I'm from Panchkula, ma'am.
You are good at speaking and I am good at writing. That's only. Because at this senior level we don't go to the masses na, so you are in touch with masses, you are in touch with the people, so you can you are very good at that, and you explained so well. I must congratulate you. God bless you.
And ma'am, she's always willing to reach out to students, to faculty, to and she loves to meet and address them. She
Okay,
had been to Shada University also.
she is a good speaker.
Yeah, she's not shy of connecting with people. So we are
Yeah,
fortunate to have her in Gautam Budh Nagar.
very nice, very nice.
Miss Tabassum, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Now I would like to formally
Ma'am, I want to say a few
give the
words
vote
about
of
Miss
thanks,
Tabassum Khan. Miss Tabassum Khan is
give the
assistant
vote of
professor with
thanks
the School of Law.
to.
Yeah, and ma'am, she has cleared Haryana judiciary, and her sister is also judge in Haryana.
Okay, okay.
So we have very good faculty who is conducting this program.
Tabassum, welcome to Haryana.
She's from Haryana, ma'am.
Yeah,
Thank you,
yeah.
ma'am. I am from Haryana, ma'am.
And you are joining Haryana Judiciary.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am,
thank
she
you,
is
ma'am.
cleared.
So with
That is very
yes,
nice
ma'am.
for
Yes,
you.
ma'am. I have cleared, ma'am, and very soon I'll be joining after the lockdown.
Wish you a very future
Thank
ahead.
you, ma'am. So with this, I would now like to propose. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. So, proposing the formal vote of thanks on behalf of School of Law, Sharda University, I would like to say thank you to both our guests today. Words cannot express our gratitude towards the commendable job that, ma'am, you both are doing in keeping us safe in these unprecedented times. We salute your courage and determination in reporting to the call of duty. Thank you. Thanks a lot, ma'am, for being a part of this webinar today.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you, Ji. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. अच्छा ला लो